The first time I caught her doing it, I thought it had to be a mistake. There was no way someone would just walk onto my property, plug their car into my solar grid, and act like it was completely normal. But that's exactly what happened. And the worst part, she didn't even try to hide it. I was standing by my workshop that afternoon when I noticed a black Tesla parked, just a little too close to my inverter shed. At first, I figured maybe she was just turning around. But then I saw the cable, running straight from my outdoor charging port into her car, and she was just standing there, arms crossed, scrolling on her phone like she owned the place. Now if you think that's crazy, just wait, because what I did next turned into something and honestly, I will never forget. But before I get into that, if you enjoy stories like this, make sure you hit like and subscribe to Karen's Stories Daily. It really helps the channel. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. So let me explain the setup. Because this didn't just happen out of nowhere. I live just outside a suburban neighborhood. My property sits right next to one of those HOA communities, you know the type. Perfect lawns, identical mailboxes, and a whole lot of rules that don't apply to me. A couple of years ago, I invested in a solar system. Panels on my barn roof, battery storage, the whole deal. It wasn't cheap, but I wanted to be energy independent. No relying on the grid, no surprise bills. Just clean, controlled power that I managed myself. Part of that setup included an outdoor charging port, mostly for my own equipment, and occasionally for my truck when I upgraded it. It's clearly on my land. Not hidden, but definitely not public. And that's where Karen comes in. She moved into the neighborhood about a year ago. Brand new Tesla, always dressed like she was heading to a meeting. And the kind of attitude that made it clear she thought rules were suggestions, especially for her. Our first interaction wasn't great. She came over complaining about the industrial look of my solar panels. Said they were an eyesore from her backyard view. I told her politely that they were staying. She didn't like that. After that, it was small things. Comments about my fence, my equipment, even the way I parked my truck. I ignored most of it. I've dealt with people like that before. But then one day, she crossed a line. I came back from town and saw her Tesla plugged into my charging port. At first, I thought maybe there was some kind of emergency. Maybe she asked someone, and there was a misunderstanding. So I walked over and asked her what was going on. She looked at me like I was the one being unreasonable and said, "Oh, I just needed a quick charge. Your system looks powerful enough. Just needed a quick charge. No asking. No permission. Just decided to use my electricity like it was hers." I told her straight up, "You can't do that. This is private property." She rolled her eyes, unplugged, and left without saying another word. I figured that was the end of it. It wasn't. A few days later, I caught her again. Same thing. Parked, plugged in, acting completely normal. This time I was less polite. I told her clearly that if she did it again, there would be consequences. She smiled, actually smiled, and said, "Relax, it's just electricity. You have plenty." That's when I realized she didn't respect me, my property, or boundaries in general. So I took action. First, I installed a lock on the charging port. Problem solved, right? Wrong. A week later, I came home and found the lock broken. Not damaged, accidentally broken. And her car plugged in again. That's when things went from annoying to personal. I checked my cameras and sure enough, there she was, walking onto my property like she had every right, forcing the lock open and plugging in her car. No hesitation. No concern. Just pure entitlement. At that point, I had a choice. Call the police immediately, or teach her a lesson she wouldn't forget. Now before anyone jumps to conclusions. I didn't want to do anything illegal or dangerous. I'm not stupid. But I also wasn't going to let her keep taking advantage of me. So I started thinking. My solar system is advanced. It's not just panels, it's programmable. Voltage levels, load distribution, output control. Everything can be adjusted within safe operational limits. And that gave me an idea. The next time she showed up, I was ready. I saw her car pulling like clockwork. Same routine. Park, step out, walk over, plug in like it was part of her daily schedule. I watched from inside my workshop. Once she connected, I went to my control panel. Now here's the thing. I didn't max out anything in a dangerous way. What I did was increase the output within the upper safe range of my system, but in a way that would make the charging unstable enough to trigger her car's protection systems. Basically, it wouldn't damage anything, but it definitely wouldn't be a smooth charging experience. And then I waited. At first, nothing happened. She stood there, checking her phone like usual. Then I saw it. She looked at her car screen. Her expression changed. Confusion. Then annoyance. She unplugged, plugged back in. Tried again. Same result. I adjusted the output slightly again, still safe, but inconsistent enough to mess with the charging cycle. Now she was getting frustrated. She walked around the car, checked the cable, even looked toward my property like she knew something was off. I stepped outside at that point. She immediately started complaining, said my system was faulty and it was interfering with her car. I looked at her and said, "That's strange. It works perfectly when people have permission to use it." She didn't like that. She tried again anyway. Same issue. After a few minutes of fighting with it, she finally gave up, unplugged, and drove off clearly annoyed. I thought maybe that would be enough. It wasn't. A couple days later, she came back, but this time, I was ready for more than just inconvenience. I had installed a proper security enclosure around the charging unit, locked, reinforced, and fully monitored. When she showed up and saw it, she actually looked offended, like I had done something wrong. She walked up, tried to open it, realized it was locked, and then just stood there. I walked out and told her clearly, "You're not using my system again, ever." That's when she snapped. She started going on about how I was being selfish, how energy should be shared, how I had more than I needed. It was like she had convinced herself she was entitled to it. I didn't argue. I just told her to leave. And this time, she finally did. A few days later, I got a letter from the HOA. Complaints about my uncooperative behavior. Suggestions that I should be more community-minded. I laughed. I responded with a simple message: my property, my system, my rules. And that was the end of it. She never came back. Never tried again. Sometimes people think they can take advantage of you just because you don't react immediately. But once you set a boundary and enforce it, they learn real quick. If you made it this far, I want to know, what would you have done in my place? Would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to share this story with someone who'd enjoy it. And if you want more stories like this, make sure you're subscribed to Karen's Stories Daily.